Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Unconscious Communication Secrets with myself, Munir. How can you become more memorable? Do you need a little bit of magic in order to become more memorable? So what's up, everyone? As I said, my name is Munir, and this is another episode of Unconscious Communication Secrets, and we are live at 5, just a little bit after 5. So if you are joining us, please jump in and say hello. I'd love to hear from you. And today I'm adding a little couple of extra effects. I'm trying out a little bit of music while we go along. So hopefully this works well, because I can't hear it playing very well in the background. Let me just check this out. Hold on. Okay, yes, it is playing. So welcome to an episode of Unconscious Communication Secrets. What's up? Laura Yee is in the house, up bright and early. Up in the States, bright and early. Laura is joining us. What's up? What's up, Laura? Great to see you. Thanks for joining in. Today, I am going to be talking about how you can become amazingly memorable. So let me just prep this up and let's get going, because we are talking about the art of being memorable. So, and more specifically, I'm going to be talking about how you can use emotional tonalities in order to become a lot more memorable. So let's get cracking. So a movie is memorable. What makes a movie very memorable, or what makes a teacher very memorable? Like you've been to these lectures, and you've been to ones that weren't memorable at all, or you remember them for all the wrong reasons because they weren't very memorable, right? And perhaps you've, and the ones that you really liked, the ones that you really enjoyed, have been a bit of a roller coaster. Not roller coaster of emotion, but they have a number of feelings that you feel. Because essentially, what is the fuel of human interaction? They're emotions. Like when people feel things when you speak to them, even if it's like a 5-minute encounter, you can even be a 2-minute encounter, but when they feel like they felt a number of things, they somehow remember you because you've taken them on a little bit of a journey. Now you can do this very unconsciously, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So it's going to be like magic. So let me talk you through that now. So why is being memorable very important? Essentially, the more memorable you are, the more opportunities are going to open up. Whether it's being memorable as a speaker, or being memorable at a networking event, or being memorable online in a chat, the more that you can become more memorable, the more opportunities will open up for you. And the more people will think of you as the go-to person, especially, like, for example, if you're building a business, or you're trying to promote yourself, or you're trying to grow to that next level, or open up new opportunities and possibilities. This is going to be hugely, hugely important. So listen, like I said, I mean, you can see this in life in so many different scenarios, right? Where do you see this right now? As I mentioned, you go to that college professor that just stands there and just goes, "Ladies and gentlemen, today open up your books to page 82, and when you open up your..." Like, oh my God, no! You know that, like, this is you don't want to listen to them. Nope. No, thank you. Ma salama. Bye. Right? And that's because that's because they're not memorable, right? Like there's no emotion there. There's no emotional journey, and so you just switch off. You end up switching off. And the opposite of this is what we're going to be talking about. How can you do the opposite of this today? How can you become very memorable? And it's actually quite simple once you kind of get it. But before I do that, let me share my story. Let me switch to dramatic music. Hold on. I can't hear. I'm gonna figure this out. Like, this is my first time doing this, and hopefully you can hear the soundtrack playing. But I was like, you know what? Because ultimately, your emotional tonalities is about giving people a soundtrack that they can listen to. So I figured, you know what? I'm gonna add a soundtrack, but I gotta figure out how it sounds. I need to get headphones. I was listening to it, but I get an echo, so I couldn't do it live. But all right, let's talk about this. So if you'd been with me when I was living in Bahrain, just like you remember back in the day, Laura, we go way back, like 6 and 8 track. We were so I at one point in time I got into stand-up comedy. And how I initially got into it was I had a couple of friends doing it, right? So Imran Al-Aradi is one of my good friends, and he actually got me into stand-up comedy. He was doing a lot of stand-up comedy. He was a radio presenter, and he was like, you know what, Munir, you're quite funny. You should do some stand-up. And I was like, okay. And I'd never done stand-up. I never really thought about doing stand-up. And I kind of went okay, but I was like, okay, I really need to go in. I can kind of be funny on the spot, etc., but I didn't know about doing stand-up. And one of the things that I like to do, I'm a bit of a geek like that, is I like to research. So I was like, okay, let me go and look into this. So I grabbed a couple of books and I started, researching how do you do comedy? How do you become funny? How do you add humor and all those things? And what I discovered, like a lot of it was, taking people on a path. How does a joke become a joke, or how does a joke become memorable? Is because you take people down a path where they're expecting something, and then all of a sudden you derail them. Like imagine a train on the tracks, right? The humor comes when the train gets derailed because you're expecting it to go one way and then it goes another way. And I think that's a little bit like communication. Because the more that you can take people on different things, if you're just going down one path, then there's no interest in that. And so when you're able to take people down a path and then change it, then you change things up, it becomes more memorable. Just like a joke. If a joke was all like a man wanted to go to the shop, and then he went to the shop. I don't have any cricket sound effects, but you get the point, right? like okay, what? Why would you tell that? Of course, the man wanted to go to the shop. He went to the shop. What's the interest in there? And that's what I'm saying. If it's too expected, if it just goes down one path with no variation, then there's no interest there. And that's what we're talking about here. So I'm going to be sharing with you, and so that's the key behind stand-up comedy, but it's also the key behind getting people to really connect with you. So today's framework that I'm going to be sharing with you is something called the 5 Satir categories. Actually, I'm going to be sharing with you something that's been adapted from the 5 Satir categories. So what are the 5 Satir categories? Basically, in the 80s, there was a lady by the name of Virginia Satir who was a very famous therapist. Like she dealt with a lot of family therapy, and she created these models of people and how people behave, how families behave in particular. Now, Virginia Satir is the lady that is one of the people that inspired the whole science of NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which is how we use our minds, and one of the things that I train in. So I'm going to go through that, and essentially what I'm going to be sharing with you her 5 categories of people, but I'm going to be sharing with you how you can use that in terms of your tonality, in terms of creating emotions in people when you're talking to them. By bringing out those different personalities, you take people through a bit of a roller coaster. So, all right, so let's get going. So Laura's saying, haha, yes, of course, because you're memorable. Thanks, Laura. Thanks. Yes, I am quite memorable. That was me waving my hair back in the air. All right, cool. So let's go through what I call the 5. So Virginia Satir had 5 categories of classifications of people, like 5 types of people. And when you tap into those 5 types of people in terms of how you communicate, you can become, you can take people on a bit of an emotional roller coaster, an emotional journey when they're speaking to you, which will unconsciously get them to like, wow, this person, I mean, they were so memorable. I don't know why. I don't know what it is about them, but it's that you use this. So the first type of energy, or the first type of category in the Satir categories, is what we call the computer. The computer person is a very thoughtful person. Likes to contemplate. And when you take, this is a very analytical kind of person. A person that is very thoughtful, that likes to think a lot about things, mull over, intellectual. So that's the first category. Second category person is what we call the leveler. Now the leveler is, look, I'm just going to tell it like it is, right? You need to, like, once you use these things, you're going to be more memorable. Now, a leveler is a person that just tells it like it is, right? I'm going to tell it like it is because you got to know this. Like, you know this, I'm telling you for your own benefit. I want you to know this thing. And so notice one of the things that you'll see me do when I talk, right? And I start to adapt these energies is I use my physical body, like my hands, etc., in order to communicate some of the things that I want to explain, right? Like in order to tap into these energies, right? So when I'm talking about the computer, because I put my hand here on my chin, and that allows me to tap into that energy, that type of archetype, okay? When I put my hands out, like, look, this is, I'm giving you because I want you to know the truth. Like, I want you to like, I'm laying it all on the table. So when I do that, I'm kind of, that's the energy. That's how I tap into the energy of using my hands. So that's the leveler. Oh, you're not seeing my slides. Okay. Then there's the placater. Look, I mean, you do this, you don't do this. It's totally up to you. I'm not taking any blame. The placater is sort of a calm down kind of energy. Like, it's okay. And you know, a part of it would be like, no need to chill, no need to stress, or everybody just calm down, everybody just relax kind of energy. That you're putting the hands up like hey, look, it's okay, it's not my fault, or kind of thing half the time, or you don't need to take it too seriously kind of thing. So that's the placater. Like, everybody just chill. It's okay. It's an easing tensions type of energy. So this is the placater. Like, hey, you know, like, and hey, I get it. All right, it's fine. This, if you don't wanna be amazing at communication, that's fine. However, and then we get into the blamer, and the blamer is a very powerful energy. Obviously, now with all these energies, there's good and bad side, right? However, with a blamer, it can be a sort of it can be a very motivational. It can be a very motivational talk. Like, you deserve to have all the success when it comes to your communication. You deserve to take things to that whole next level. And you, like, I'm blaming, but I can do it in a motivating way. But also, blamer, as the name implies, can be like, you messed up kind of thing, right? It's a little bit of the finger pointing, but it can be very motivational. To a certain degree. Now, you see, these are very powerful. How do you become memorable? Is by going through all of these in a certain way. You could just be like, look, you deserve to have all the success when it comes to your communication. And look, if you don't want it, that's fine. You don't have to have it. But if you do, you gotta dig deep. You gotta tap into this knowledge that I'm sharing, because it can take you to a whole nother level. So do you see, I'm kind of going through these different energies so that it can take you on a bit of a journey. Within a few seconds, I'm like tapping into a couple of emotions very quickly. So that was the blamer energy. And then there's the distractor. What's the distractor? Well, half the time I'm the distractor, because I just want you to like whoa, I want you to feel good. And when I do these talks, and I want you to laugh, and I'm just gonna be like, ha ha, my arms are kind of waving around because it's just hilarious, and I want you to laugh, and I'm distracting you to a certain degree. Like, that's why they call it the distractor. The arms kind of go in different places, and but also it's the easing of tension, right? Like it's the humor aspect. This is the person, like, it's a tense room, and like someone just goes, so this is awkward. I'm the distractor. Let's take our eyes off things, right? So that's the distractor energy. Now, as I said, if you're able to weave through all of these things, this will allow you to, within a couple of minutes, if you could tap into all five. Now, it takes a bit of practice, and obviously that's the not the purpose of a live video, but when you if you're able to tap into all these five within a 2-minute conversation, or you could even do it within a 1-minute conversation, for some reason people will be like, whoa, because you could just be like, and I want you to know that, and then, but if it's up to you, but if you wanted to really go, and for some reason people will just go through, within a couple of, like 1 or 2 minutes, they go through this little emotional journey, and for some reason they'll be like, wow, that person was just so interesting. They just seemed so, like there's a lot of variety about them, and it's like magic. So so very, very powerful. All right. Okay, so let me change up the soundtrack a little bit. I have no idea how the soundtrack is doing, but we got to figure this out. All right. I'm gonna get headphones next time so that I can do this with the soundtrack. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, those are the 5 Satir energies that you can tap into. Now let's just let me show you a quick couple of examples, like in real life. Look at like some of the U.S. presidents. This is some of them using those or tapping into some of those energies, right? Trump, when the finger pointing, that's the tapping into the blamer. The Placater with Bill Clinton over there. The computer when with Barack Obama. The distractor, again, Donald Trump using the distractor, and the leveler, like, hey, it's okay, like, calm down, like, etc. So you can see, I mean, everyone always, like, we all tap into these, right? So let's look at this, right? Like concerns, right? Can I do this? Can I do it? You already do it, right? We already do all of these at different times in our life, right? We all know these. Now, it's just a case of tapping into it in a shorter space of time, quicker, more together, right? So this is something not something, oh, can I do it? You already do it. We all already do these energies. It's just like some we live in more than others, but we all do many of them to a certain degree. And what this is about is how can you tap into it on purpose during a conversation so that you can communicate more effectively or make a greater impression. Okay? Then, and what will this give you? Well, essentially, ultimately, you'll become more memorable, right? Like this is about becoming more memorable, making the right connections, creating the right relationships, giving the right kind of impact to audiences, people that you network with. So this is going to take you to that next level in that sense. And look, in the past, if you've had challenges with making a good impression, like meeting people, it's not your fault. I mean, we aren't taught these things. The people that have taught us at school, at university, at college, whatever, they weren't taught these things. And so if you've had a challenge making a great first impression, it's not your fault. You didn't know this stuff. This will allow you to take things to that next level. All right. So, and so let's finish off with the phrase of the day. And so, create an emotional soundtrack, and people will remember you back. Create an emotional soundtrack, and people will remember you back. So, that's our session for today. If you have not, please do subscribe to my YouTube channel. There we go, youtube.com/Munir. Do subscribe. And also, quick bit of news. Hopefully I'll be doing an introduction to NLP webinar next week. So hopefully by Wednesday next week. Nope, that's not fake news. It's subscribe now. Wrong button to be pressing at the wrong time. That was a little awkward, but that's fine. So if any of you guys are interested in NLP or learning NLP, discovering a little bit more about NLP, hopefully next Wednesday I'll be doing a webinar. I'll be sharing details on my page and in further videos on YouTube. And what I'll do is I will update the description in this video in the next few days with a link to that webinar registration if anyone's interested. Other than that, I want to thank you guys very, very much for tuning in. A lot of love for you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Lots of love, peace out, one love, and I will catch you guys very soon.